Kind of double
Uh-huh.
check to be sure. Apparently, he saw he didn't have one and realized he was in the wrong. Gail, how old are you?
I'm 23.
And do you have uterus?
Nope.
And what do you think of the post?
How does a AB violate the Constitution? How does it?
You're safe to say abortion in here, but I do appreciate the censor.
Okay.
It violates the Eighth Amendment right to cruel and unusual punishment.
Well, yeah, I do agree. It's a cruel and unusual punishment to the baby.
It's not a baby; it's a fetus.
Yeah, it's a baby though.
It's not a baby until it's birthed,
So
and I
what
think
what what is the cells? What the cells are?
so. They start off as
They're
a.
they're Homo sapien cells, correct?
I never said it wasn't a human.
So
I
not all
never
humans
said it was
are
a human.
persons.
Humans are people. People are Homo
Oh, okay,
sapien.
okay. So if the
Are
if
you
a
a baby?
fetus if a
Are
fetus
you a baby?
has DNA of a human being
Then it's
and
human
it is
being.
alive, sure
No,
it's dependent upon the mother for life. I don't disagree with you on that, but it's clearly
no.
moving, it's clearly growing, it's clearly developing, it's clearly alive. How is it not a baby?
Because the definition, scientific terms, we only deal in scientific here, logic and stats. It has to be birthed to be a baby, so it's a
It
fetus.
has to be birthed. Oh, okay,
Right.
okay. But how is it still not a human being though? And when
I
you
never once did I say it was not a human being.
Oh,
Don't put
okay.
words in my mouth, please.
Okay, so you would agree then it's cruel and unusual punishment to put it out of its misery then because the mother doesn't want to have it.
I think it's cruel and unusual punishment to force someone to suffer and permanently change their body.
But you
For
just agree to me it's a human being.
you're not tracking here, sweetheart.
I
Just
am
because
fully
it's a
tracking.
human, just because it's a human doesn't make it. Um,
So sometimes it's right to murder humans.
if I'm speaking, you're gonna let me speak, or you will be
Uh,
muted.
okay, go
Thank
speak. Go
you.
speak. Calm down.
Don't tell me to calm down in my own live. I will boot you so fast.
Make the
This is a
argument then.
respectful panel.
Just make the
This is a
argument.
respectful panel. You have one more chance. Thank you. I didn't say it wasn't a human being, and just because it's a human that's relying fully on my body for survival, I have the right to remove it should I not want it, or else it will live a life of suffering with me. Maybe it gets adopted out as an infant, but maybe it goes into foster care and lives a life of suffering in there. It's cruel and unusual punishment to both mother, should she want to be a mother and be unfit, or woman and child once birthed to live a life of suffering.
So to respond to that point, there's a couple points I want to bring up. Firstly, I was adopted myself, and I did not live a life of suffering. I'm very glad I was adopted. Secondly, you already agreed to me earlier that when you said, "Hey, the fetus does have human DNA, it has human chromosomes, it is growing, and it is becoming a baby." Essentially, you do agree that it does have human DNA and it is alive. And how do we know it's alive? Because it's growing, because it's changing, and because it starts displaying behaviors too. So I guess the question is it sounds like you're agreeing that it is a human being then, and you
You're
even
so
stated
focused.
yourself. Let me. That's the entailment of your statement.
You're so focused on the fact that you think that I initially disagreed it wasn't a human. I never said that, and I've been agreeing with you the entire
No,
time.
no,
It
no.
is a human being.
That's what I'm saying is that we agree as a human being, and if you unalive a human being, that will fall under schmurder by definition.
No, so that the definition of and in this panel in this chat, guys, we take the M word and we flip it, so it's red rum.
Red rum.
Um,
Okay, gotcha.
appreciate you. So the definition of red rum is premeditated intent to unalive. You know what? Let me just in these chats we love stats. Let me just pull up the actual definition real quick so we can all listen to it verbatim. According to Oxford Dictionary, the unlawful premeditated unaliving of one human being by another, unlawfully and premeditated being our keywords here. So, yes, I would agree that it would be a premeditated decision because I hope no one's just waking up
Hmm.
one morning and running to a clinic, something you think about. But as far as unlawful, a fetus has no rights. It has
So
no rights, so it wouldn't be unlawful. If you ban abortion, it would be unlawful, and you could then argue that point of it would be red rum. But I think that would be putting all your hands over a uterus that doesn't belong to you, which I would argue is unconstitutional.
I guess with red rum and with any sort of ethical moral claims, would you say it's just dependent upon society's whims, essentially, like on the flux of society values?
Can I have you rephrase the question?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you just said that because it can't be red rum because it's not unlawful. So I guess my question then is, with any sort of claims about laws, whether they're right or wrong, as long as they're lawful, they're good under your view, correct?
Well, I would say that there are some laws that I don't agree with, but it doesn't mean I go break them because I'm not trying to go to jail.
But
Does that answer your question? I'm not quite tracking, to be honest with you. Thank you, Kristen, by
well,
the way.
yeah. I'm just trying to understand how you view society, view morality, because you said that, hey, because it's not technically illegal, therefore it can't be red rum. And I'm just wondering, you already agree it is a premeditated action and that the fetus is indeed a human being.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay, I think I'm tracking. I think I'm tracking.
yeah. So I guess my question then is, like, let's just say, for example, you have a very old man. He's on his last legs. He's hooked up to machines just to keep him alive. Um, would it then say if it was legal? If it was legal to say, "Yep, I'm just gonna put you out of your misery," um, would you consider that schmurder? Yes or no? Or excuse me, red rum. Sorry.
It's okay. You're still within the censors. It's just easier to all go with one word. I do need to ponder for a moment because my gut answer is no. I don't view that as wrong, so long as you have like power of attorney over said person. I'd go a little deeper if I knew the proper legal term for it, but if that person has written documentation that you are in charge of their care, mentally, physically, financially, you are in charge fully of this person, and they have given you the right or the power to make decisions for them, and you decide it's best that they unalive because they're, like you said, hooked up to all these machines and they have no quality of life, considered, et cetera, then I would say no, that is not wrong, and it would be merciful.
So what if they don't want to be, even say if you have authority over them and it is legal to red rum them or at least put them out of their misery? Um, what if they don't want to be, if they still want to be alive? What do you do then?
So once you're what I call Earth side, obviously everybody's on Earth at every given moment. I call it Earth side because you've exited the womb and you're now experiencing what it means to be on Earth. So that person is already Earth side and has been granted their bodily integrity. Um, but if they can't make decisions on their own and they have it written down, documented, hey, don't pull the plug, which is called like what is it, DNI, DNR? Yeah, no, scrap all that. I don't know the proper term. I'll look it up later.
No, no
But
worries, no worries.
if they've documented that do not pull the plug and given you power over them and you pull the plug, that's where that line is of. I still don't think it's red rum because that's between you and the doctor. Like if the doctor comes to you and says this person's never going to come back, they're donezo. But as a doctor, it's illegal for the doctor to pull any plugs, obviously. Do I still view it as red rum though? No, no, I don't. I just think it's a little gray area.
Okay. So I guess my question then is the following then, because it just seems to be a lot of legalistic, like you're dependent upon the law to decide what's red rum for you. I guess, where do you draw your source of, like, okay, that's red rum, and even with more broader just society in general with laws, like, okay, that's a good law and that's a bad law. Where do you draw your morality from to judge those laws then?
I think morality is up to the individual. There's things that we can all agree are immoral, like abuse, etc. But I would say, as far as red rum goes, it would be a violent, unprovoked act. Like self defense, I would not consider red rum. I would consider the person attacking you to be, they are immoral, but you fighting for your life is not immoral. Um, Red rum would be like, breaking into someone's house and just unaliving them. Like that would be red rum. Obviously, if you hit somebody with your car by accident, sorry TikTok if I can't say those things. But yeah, if you do that, I don't think it's red rum. I think it's a negligence. If you hit someone with your car on purpose because you don't like the way they look or the way they're walking or whatever, that would be red rum. Are you tracking?
Yeah. So I guess, because you kind of said at the beginning it's ultimately subjective then. So, and you said
Not
there's
subjective,
maybe, yeah,
up
there
to
may
the
be
individual.
some intuitions that we can all agree on, and I guess what happens with, like, psychopaths, for example, and maybe people from, like, certain cultures, maybe uh like the Taliban, for example, right? Like, obviously they don't hold the same moral values that we do as Westerners.
Right. Right,
And
but I don't think the Taliban ever unalives somebody for any sort of moral reason. They do
yeah,
it
they
to
do all the
be
time.
hateful. Well, no, 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 but it's not a. They do it to be hateful. They're not doing it out of mercy or self defense. They do it because they hate who they're unaliving.
Yeah, yeah, and what I'm saying is that they view it as a moral justification that hey, this person is sinning against our, our religion, and therefore we should red rum them. We should execute them on the orders of the state, on the orders of God. Um, and I guess my question to that then is if it's all ultimately subjective, why is it then that your subjective opinion about abortion should be pushed upon the nation when it offends the other subjective opinions of people who view abortion as a red rum?
Okay, I love that you asked it in this manner and that you asked this question at all. So, my views is that abortion should be entirely legal, all 9 months, and a conversation between a woman, a doctor, and hopefully her therapist. With my views, no one is going to strap any woman down to a table and force her to have an abortion. It's entirely a choice between a woman, a doctor, and her therapist, hopefully. With your views, you are forcing me to do something. You've stripped away my right to choose, and should I not want to be pregnant, not want a child, be an unfit mother, you are forcing me to go through 9 months of what I consider cruel and unusual punishment, 9 months of suffering, alter my body permanently, and then ultimately bring a human being into the world that I don't want. Fingers crossed gets adopted at infancy. If not, there's only a 7% chance it gets adopted out of the foster care system at all. Or maybe I just abuse it the whole time. Maybe I give it to my grandma because I'm unfit and my grandma neglects, it. Like, there's ultimately more of a chance of forcing a child to live a life of suffering, forcing a woman to live 9 months of suffering, if not her whole life of suffering because she decides to keep it. By banning abortion, you have stripped my right to choose. By legalizing abortion, I have given every woman and the right to choose. It's not up to me. No one's going to I'm not going to drag people into the clinic or into a hospital, strap them down and scoop them out. Like,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that still doesn't address the question though, because you're making a bunch of is statements. Now, I'll even just for the purpose of this argument, I'll grant you that all these potentials could actually come to fruition. Let's just grant everything that you said that under my worldview, maybe I am forcing you to go through a pregnancy that you don't want to have. Maybe that child is going to have a bad life. Just for the purpose, I will grant that. How is that actually objectively morally bad if you just said earlier that all morality is subjective and just based upon personal whims?
I'm processing. So I think ultimately, can you agree that abortion should always be a conversation between a woman, her doctor, and her therapist?
I don't think it's a discussion that should ever be happening
So
because I
are
view
you
it
an
to be morally
abolitionist?
wrong,
Are
objectively.
you an, are you an abolitionist?
What do you mean by that?
So
Like
abolitionist means that we should abolish abortion altogether. It's off the
uh,
table. It's not allowed, fully banned, no exceptions.
yeah, essentially, maybe besides in cases of like miscarriage, where it's
So she needs
happening.
a medical DNC,
Yeah, basically like a medical emergency. That's probably
medical
the only
emergency.
exception I would consider.
Okay, so tell your dog I said hi, by the way. Um, so Grape and Family Matters and, a 12-year-old, all of those, she's forced to be pregnant.
Yeah, but this doesn't answer my question though, because
No, I'm just trying to figure out your stance here. I'm just
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to. I guess I just want to get back to the question though. Was you said
Right.
that, like again, I'll grant you everything that you said earlier about like, oh, you're forcing the woman to go through pregnancy she don't want. That baby can have a bad life. They might end up in the foster home and not have a good life. The woman may suffer mental and physical health effects too against will. I'll grant all that just for the sake of the argument. Those are a bunch of is statements, but none of those is an ought statement. You're saying,
Okay.
yes, this will happen. This is going to occur, but why ought should I morally oppose it? That's the argument. And
Okay.
your answer of subjectivity of moral subjective, okay, well maybe I subjectively view that abortion is red rum. and it shouldn't happen. Why
I think
should
if you view abortion as red rum and it shouldn't happen, then you can get a vasectomy, or you can simply not sleep with women who don't want children.
I agree
I
with you.
think
I agree with
I
you on
think
that
it's
one.
immoral. It's immoral. This is where see how I'm doing this. It's immoral for you to try to control my body when you don't know me.
Yeah, but
You've
why
never
though?
met me. You don't know
But
my
why?
name. You don't know where I live. Why do you think? I mean, I understand your argument of it's immoral to, in your eyes, unalive a baby.
Yeah,
I believe also.
but you just said that your morality is subjective, and it's objectively not true then by definition.
So, can you define subjective for me?
Yeah, subjective is just up to the personal whims. Like for example, what type of food I like is ultimately up to me. It's subjective. Like oh, I like pizza the best instead of like hamburgers, right? So
So, the definition of subjective from Oxford, of course, is based on or influenced by personal feelings or
yeah, that's
opinions.
basically my definition. But
Right. So I subjectively, is based on my personal feelings,
yeah,
think it's immoral for you to tell me how to live my life. You think it's immoral to unalive children, so I'm telling you, then don't do it. Don't have an abortion if you don't want one. Or in your case, as a man, get your, only sleep with women that would be okay birthing a child.
yeah, no,
It's immoral for you to try to tell me what to do
but
when you have
why
no
though?
control over my life. It's not
But
like you pay
why?
my bills, anything like that.
But
Why?
why?
If,
Yeah.
if you don't have access to me, so
No, no,
why should you pass
that's
laws
that's a
that
moral
grant
claim.
you access?
That's so I don't think I understand the objection. What you're doing right now is you're making objective moral claims, but you just said that your morality is subjective. Do you
Everyone's
see that
morality
that
is
doesn't follow?
subjective. Everyone's morality is subjective.
So
Like
we yeah, so we
serial
can't
unaliver believes that red rum is morally sound. They're okay with red rum. They like committing atrocities. So
yeah, yeah,
their morals are different than ours because morality is subjective.
yeah, yeah. So you would agree then that, like, for example, with the Taliban, when they excuse me, red rum, gay people, for example, which I'm definitely opposed to. I don't support that whatsoever. I hopefully
Right.
you don't either.
Oh, of course not.
Oh, yeah, of course. You would agree then that ultimately that's subjective. That there's no objective moral claim you can make about the Taliban, say, for example, red rumming a gay person.
Right. So in my eyes, that is immoral. In the Taliban's eyes, it's moral because morality
Yeah.
is subjective.
So I guess then how can you justify your moral claims influencing policy then if it's just subjective? That's the
Are you,
question.
it seems like you're agreeing with me though that morality is subjective.
I'm not. I actually have justification for my morality, and that's God, the Christian
Right. But
God specifically.
I don't believe in your God. Your God does not rule me. I do not worship them. I do not pray to them. I have no ties to the Christian God. So why does your God get to dictate my life?
Uh, well, that's a completely separate discussion, but just try to keep it on topic of about abortion and red
No,
rum.
because if your claim is that your morals are objective based on your God, and my claim is my morals are subjective based on my God, who is different. Let's just say that is my claim. Why then do your morals and your God get to control the law?
Well,
Why can't
I
they
would
just say
argue,
my
yeah,
religion
that's a
law?
great question, and I would say that ultimately that then becomes a theological and a what's it called, apologetic debate. Like Christianity versus Islam, for example. I've done those debates in the past too. I actually just had one maybe 30 minutes ago with a Muslim. Actually, funny enough.
Well, I'm not Muslim.
I know. I'm just using that as an example, just because I just had
Okay.
one literally.
I'm
But
joking. I
yeah, I would
think
say that
that
my worldview, I view it to be objectively true. I again, I don't want to turn this into a God no real debate, just because then we're just going completely off topic.
I
But
understand.
yeah, but
But it's okay if we go
regardless,
off topic because it's my debate, it's my life, and if I'm straying us, that's one thing. But the claim here is your morality, that your moral view that abortion is wrong comes objectively from your God. So let's just say that I believe my morality that abortion is not my business because I'm not the one having it comes objectively from my God. why does your God get to dictate the laws? Why are you voting to change laws based
because
on what your God believes? But I don't get to do the same.
because my God's objectively true and
My
your
God's
God isn't.
objectively true as well. That's not true.
Well, no. If both gods were then objectively true, and then those two gods oppose each other on a certain issue, then there's an issue, because you can't have two objective truths that violates the law of identity.
I believe that my God is the true God. You believe your God is the true God. We'll never know until we unalive and we arrive at the afterlife, and either somebody greets us and we shake hands, going, "Okay, you were right, I was wrong," or nobody greets us and we just fade into the void.
I mean,
We're not
I
going to
would
know.
I would completely disagree with that. Just on the just again, you're gonna have to actually present a case for this God, and I know this isn't your actual position. I assume you're an agnostic atheist. Am I correct?
No, you are not, and I do not ever state what my religion is on these lives because it will skew people's viewpoints. My religion is private, but I can tell you that it is an absolute based on uh, doctrines. I won't say evidence, except for the fact I've talked to them, seen them physically form. They have come to me. They have altered my life in ways that you could not comprehend, because what has your God done for you aside from work in mysterious ways?
I mean, I've had like at least two gods come to me. One was Jesus, and one was Shiva. So make of that what you will. And
So you
I chose
you
Jesus,
agree then?
huh?
So you agree then that there's more than one God?
I would say that all the other gods are they're either creations of man or just demons.
So
So
Jesus is a creation of man. Got it. What about Shiva?
no. Jesus
Creation of man or a
historically
demon?
existed though.
Jesus was a guy, arguably the first ever documented case of schizophrenia, but a guy nonetheless.
No. I mean, there's multiple eyewitness accounts that all date back to the first century, including the latest one was John, which dates back to 95 AD. They all make accurate claims about, say, the destruction of the Second Temple. It matches up perfectly with the 7 weeks prophecy found in Daniel 9, I believe. It also fits perfectly with Isaiah 53 and a bunch of other prophecies in the Old Testament, too. So,
I'm not
and,
denying the existence of Jesus. Never,
huh?
never would I deny the existence of Jesus. I do firmly believe he was a dude. He was walking around. Do I think he was the son of God? No. Do I think your God is the only God? No. And I think it's extremely rude to tell people that their God is not real, right, or plausible because your God said so. I have many arguments against your religion. I think your religion is detrimental to people's health, as well as your religion has unalived more people. And this is a documented fact. Your religion has unalived more people than anything else on the planet.
The last I checked, the two largest societies that committed the most mass red rum were the Soviet Union and Mao Zedong's China, and those number in the
Uh,
hundreds of millions. And those
let's
are
find out.
atheist based.
In these chats, we love stats. I have a secondary device. I'm able to look up anything at any moment during these debates. How many people unalived from Christianity? And before I even read that, let's also type in what unalived the most people in history. And what did you say, Mao Zedong?
Yeah, Mao Zedong and the Soviet
Are you
Union.
talking the whole dynasty, like the whole time?
Yeah. I meant the China Republic as a whole, the People's Republic of China. Excuse me.
Okay, so let's start with Mao Zedong.
Yeah.
Ranging from 40 to 80 million victims through starvation.
Yep.
So not direct hand to hand.
Doesn't have to be.
That's the argument here, though, is that Christians have unalived people with their own hands.
Yeah, you can
Let's see.
unalive people by
Obviously,
starving them too. So
bubonic plague, smallpox, tuberculosis, malaria. Okay, these are all just diseases. Nope, not the event. What caused the most cardiac heart disease? Okay, I'm gonna have to actually dig in to try to find that stat better. And then it would say around 70 million Christians have been martyred for their faith throughout history, which means Christians have killed, unalived each other. Around 70 million.
no, that's not true.
Between
Well,
2001 and 2010, an estimated 1 million.
yeah, most of them were in Islamic countries.
Thousand. Right. It would appear. Goodness. These are big numbers.
Yeah.
These are really big numbers. Hold on. In these chats, we love stats, and I only go to .edu.org and .gov. I'm getting a lot of how many Christians have been unalived, as opposed to how many people have the Christians unalived. Let's try again. How many people have been unalived? Oh, I don't have to type the word unalived into Google. Might need to go to the actual FBI website for this one.
Yeah, I guess regardless, just for the purposes of the argument, I'll even grant you that Christians just so we can move on from the point. I'll just grant you that Christians did red rum more than any other ideology, political or religious. Even that
Yes.
most likely isn't true. I'll just grant you that because you still haven't provided a moral justification for why red rum is wrong. So
Well, I think it's wrong to harm anyone for any reason. I am an extremely kind person. I go out of my way to help other people. I would never even consider red rumming someone if not in self defense. I
so
view it as wrong because I don't have a right to do harm to anyone's bodies, mental health, or finances. Like, that's not my business. I don't have a right to, or no one has a right to tell or do anything that would harm another mentally, physically, or financially.
yeah, but that's just a bunch of personal preferences. Ultimately, what if my personal preference is to harm those people, or to say, hey, maybe we should cancel abortion altogether because it harms my personal subjective feelings. Like you have
I
no
just
ground to stand on me against because ultimately it's just subjective feeling versus subjective feeling.
I just think you and all your followers should. It's immoral for you to keep passing laws about
Why?
things that have nothing to do with you. Like, you don't even have a uterus. You don't have a dog in the fight, as they say.
No, I do have a dog in a fight. Both my brother and my
As
sister were
as they
aborted.
say. As they say.
Yeah,
Um,
that means I have two dogs in the fight because
as they
two of
say.
my
That's it.
siblings were aborted.
Okay, but that wasn't your choice. It wasn't your body. It
Yeah,
was the best thing for your mother.
it wasn't my body. That's not necessarily true. You don't know the circumstances.
Hey,
Regardless of that, you're still making a bunch of is statements, not any sort of moral justification. You're saying, oh, this is immoral, and okay, why is this immoral? Because it offends me on a subjective level. And like, okay, well, abortion offends me on a subjective level.
I'm trying to track with you here. I really am. We're just kind of going round at this
Yeah,
point.
because I'm not gonna let you escape this
I was
logical trap
speaking.
until you concede.
I was speaking. We're just going round here. I'm never going to get through to you. You're never going to see the harm that your ideology and your views cause
Yeah,
to
and
others.
you still haven't
I was
provided justification
I
for
was
why it's
speaking.
wrong.
I was
Besides, it offends
speaking.
me
I was
personally.
speaking. I was speaking.
Excuse me, I was
Um,
speaking. See, I'm being Kamala Harris too.
oh, and you're gone.